Penn State building off a strong blue-white weekend. I'm Thomas Frank Carr. Another commitment here just a couple days after the final spring practice. I'm Thomas Frank Carr, as I mentioned. Ryan Snyder with me. Listen, if you trip, the best thing you can do if you fall is to act like you meant to do that. And we've got a great breaking news video for you here. Ryan, save me as I'm drowning. Throw me a lifeline. Tell me who committed.
I always just try and laugh at myself when I make stupid comments because, hey, that's how I get away with things, right? If you can't laugh at yourself, then it is what it is. Anyway, Donovan Harbour, offensive guard prospect out of Wisconsin, 6'4", 330, guys. This is quite a big prospect, quite a big player for Penn State to get. Four-star player in every rating or in every site. The On3 industry rating has him at number 178 nationally. He is the 10th ranked offensive guard, number 2 in Wisconsin. On3 has him a bit lower than that, but still in the On300. They have him as the 20th ranked offensive guard. And if you go through 24/7 ESPN rivals, they all have them in different spots. But Penn State's happy to get another lineman on board. I've hit on this how many times. They have, before Jimmy Chris entered the portal, now they have 8 offensive linemen on their staff or on their roster currently who are entering their 4th year. Now, obviously, I don't expect all those guys to be gone after next year, but quite a few of them are going to be gone. And this has to be a year where they retool. Certainly a year where I think 5 offensive linemen is a must. Penn State did add Caleb Brewer, but we're kind of looking at him as an athlete. Certainly could end up on the defensive side of the ball. So I don't want to say he's absolutely a lineman. And when you look at it from that perspective, you could make the case that Cooper Cousins was still only like the true offensive lineman committed until Donovan Harbour announced today. So I'm still getting to know Donovan. Honestly, I knew about him visiting for the blue-white game and haven't really been able to catch up with him, do a true interview yet. But I know Penn State's excited to have him. And now they have certainly 2 interior linemen committed. But yeah, again, there's so many caveats with this video, I feel like already. You can make the argument that Cooper Cousins could bounce out to tackle. So I think it goes along with what James always says of recruiting versatility. Although I will say that Donovan Harbour, absolutely, it's 6'4", 330, we'll say. Yeah, certainly feels like a right guard in my eyes. I think he would agree.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100% agree there that I think he's pretty position specific. Whenever you're an interior player, you can probably play any of the 3. There is not a huge difference. But if we are building a class of the players that are on the roster right now, traditionally, if we were going to say athletic offensive linemen go on the left side, Caleb Brewer would be a left guard, and you would have Donovan on the right side at the right guard position, and the Cooper Cousins, whichever one of the 3 you want to play after that, whether he's still a center for them, whether he kicks out to the outside. This is not the combination of players that I was expecting after the last couple months of conversation about the offensive line board. It's a surprising turn for the Nittany Lions, and this commitment. I know you said you're still getting to know Donovan, but that's kind of the story, right? This has cropped up pretty quickly over the last couple of months, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you look back at his visits, right, 2022 goes to a ton of schools: Wisconsin, Ohio State, Tennessee. I'm trying to think here. Michigan State. I think he did Notre Dame, and then I want to say he went to Alabama. I think that was maybe the camp. I'm not exactly sure. I just know he went to Alabama last June, and then it was really quiet this year. We know he went to a visit in Wisconsin in the beginning or the mid January, I want to say, and then the only other visit I know about is the trip to Penn State here. So that's why we got to interview him. That's why I'll obviously reach out to his coach in the coming days, try and learn a little bit more about what those past 3, 4, 6 months have been like for his recruitment. But this was his first trip to Penn State, and boom, he's committed. And usually Penn State tries to, I don't want to say avoid those situations, but they just want to get to know a player more. That does tell me that there's a better relationship or more conversation behind the scenes here than maybe I realized. But certainly a player we'll be working hard to learn a little bit more about here in the coming days. But again, I'll come back to 6'4", 330. Penn State's always, Troutline and others have made it very clear in press conferences and things like that they want to get bigger on the offensive line. And this is certainly one of those players, from a size perspective that fits that.
Yeah. So let's get into that right now. Let's dive into the tape. I'll say it begins and ends with size for Donovan Harbour, and that's going to be part of the conversation here because he does not, to me, he does not look like the guys with the size that Penn State has been recruiting recently, because I kind of think that he's overweight. You don't, as we've said before, you don't want guys coming in at 330 pounds. The rare exception is Vega Ioane, who came in at over 300 pounds but moved so well. I don't see that from Harbour. I see the violence, the strength. Great technique, by the way. Like, I think he's very well coached. He rarely busts his assignment. He usually gets a hand on the guy he's supposed to block and played a good bit of tackle and left guard. He is going to be an interior player for sure. I don't think that he has the length to play anywhere else. I also don't think he has the foot speed, but that's going to be the conversation. Is 330 pounds. I think he needs to drop 40 pounds, and he might have that athleticism we're looking at. And this is where I went into investigation mode, Ryan, because all of these red flags of plays a little too high, tiptoes through the hole, doesn't really move the way I'm used to seeing Penn State guards play. I noticed watching some of the film, is he asked to be too big, or is he too big? Because some of the other players on the roster for his team, specifically at nose tackle, where you think you want traditionally massive humans, they have guys that look like they have a lot of extra weight. So I went back to his sophomore film, and here is where I see the movement skills. Here is where I see, you rewind a year, this is where he was a top 100 player, top 200 player in the On 300. He did take a dip in the recent updated rankings, and I think that's why. I think he's just playing too big. So you see more quickness, you see a little bit better pad level, a little bit better flexibility. Those concerns that I have when you kind of take off a couple pounds, he gets to be a better athlete. So I think for Penn State, as much as I like his football understanding and I like his technique, for the most part, I think he plays too high. I think that his pad level isn't where it needs to be, but he is effective. These blocks he has on the backside, these backside fill blocks, are really good. Those are hard to do for a lot of players, and he executes them really well and really effectively. But I think in order to get to the next level and play, it's going to be all about his conditioning to me, because even in some of the plays where he's got a good base and he plays through well, he tends to get too high by the end of the play. To me, that says conditioning. He can't sit in his stance because he's not the right proportion of, body fat and muscle density and BMI and all those things. So that's my read on him so far. I'm curious to see what you think about that and how you think that projects for Penn State.
Yeah, I was going back through our admin here to try and find what the previous measurements were, because I know he was up to 330 here, during here in last couple of weeks since we've got verified times. I don't see one in here. I want to say it was somewhere around 290, 300 is what he was playing at last year, and he's put on 20, 30 pounds here since that sophomore season. But everything you said there makes sense. I don't want to run my mouth because I haven't talked to any top sources about it yet. I haven't talked to Donovan or any of his coaches about it yet. So I'm always, me, man, I'm always hesitant to run my mouth on YouTube.
That's my job. My job is to run my mouth. That's what I'm doing.
you can do that. I just want to talk to his coach. I want to talk to people at Penn State. I want to talk to people that know it better than me, because Donovan Harbour was not a player I was really looking at or really watching film for or trying to build a relationship with. Until 5 days ago when I learned he was visiting for the Blue-White game. All of a sudden, this all happened. So, of course, with his commitment today, I'll reach out to his coach here in the coming days. I will say Corey Smith, Penn State, really high after his teammate, the young running back out of Catholic Memorial. There's Owen Strabig as well. I apologize if I got his name wrong. Another player. He's a 2025 prospect, his teammate that Penn State really likes as well. So there are quite a few guys here on this Catholic Memorial team that Penn State's going to be pursuing, which goes back to the point of I need to get to his coach. I need to figure out, get to know those guys and learn more about Donovan and hopefully I can get Donovan on the phone too. I'd like to catch up with him as well.
Yeah, and I think that maybe it sounds like I came off overly negative about Donovan, and that's always the fine line I try to walk of here are my observations. Not all of them are even negative when they sound negative. It's just these are observations. I think that the athleticism and obviously the strength and some of the things you really want to see in a football player that you can't really teach the tenacity and the violence he plays with, the intensity, while also playing with great technique and control, I think is the best way to say it. He plays with really good control to the point that sometimes I can just want him to open it up and run. So those are good things. Those are good building blocks. That's something that I see when I kind of rewind things. I see why Penn State is willing to take him. I just want to put into context of, if you're a Penn State fan and we talk about like you want guys to have growth potential, I think that there's a conversation of he needs to trim some, change that body weight. There's a Nate Bruce I think comparison to be made here. That's the last guy that I thought had kind of a similar profile of mammoth, massive, strong right guard potential, but needed to work on some of those things in order to realize all of that and to unlock the athleticism you could see hidden underneath. And I think that's where I want to put Harbour in this category. So that's it for me. Anything else you got on Harbour?
Yeah. I mean, I will say I do believe he throws shot put and stuff as well. So those are numbers that we can track down. I mean, from what I understand, I always compare him to Jalen Williams, which is never fair, right? Jalen Williams threw like a 66 shot put. He was one of the top 10 ranked guys in the country, right? I believe he was throwing a shot around 47, 48, something like that. So there's things that Penn State can get from those. And again, if I had more time leading up to this video, I could have maybe reached out to some people and learned a little bit more. But that'll all be done in the coming days. And isn't that a great reason, T. Frank, to promote BWI and for everyone to join and come and read our stuff here in the coming weeks? Because that'll certainly be high on the list of things I'm working on, especially now that we don't have recruits on campus every other day.
So you beat me to it on this video where you mentioned subscribing, which you always joke on the Friday shows or on the shows where I'm not like, hey, I forgot to mention subscribing, and I did too. I got too excited talking about Donovan Harbour. I'm Thomas Frank Carr. He is Ryan Snyder. Please subscribe to Blue White Illustrated on YouTube, like this video, and BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. Ryan, I don't know if our deal for the spring game is still up, but no matter when you sign up for Blue White Illustrated, our deals are a great deal because the information is that good. It's just that good, Ryan. You guys are awesome at what you do.
Oh, you're so nice.
We'll be back with more breaking news because I have a feeling this isn't over. That's coming up. And, of course, we'll have our breakdown of spring football and the blue-white game on the BWI Live show on Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Tune in for that. Until then, I'm Thomas Frank Carr. We'll talk to you then.